Hey y'all, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. I just read Conjuring the Witch by Jessica Leonard. This is my first book that I've read of Jessica's, and I'm really excited to get to her other book, which I believe is The Antioch. I'm very excited to see exactly what she can bring to the table after reading this book. I did receive this in exchange for an honest review, and I will tell you that every single one of my opinions and thoughts are my own. Conjuring the Witch is about this really small town that kind of hits home for me. I'm actually also from a small town, so I was able to really immerse myself into the story. There are witches in the woods. These are the words the Reverend of Lillian Assembly of Our Lord repeats to his parishioners each week. Steve and Nicole Warby think it's just a metaphor until Nicole takes a walk in those woods, and comes back changed. Something came out with her. And the simple small town life they've always known is forever altered when they discovered the dark secrets buried deep in those intent on keeping them there. So the things that I really liked about this book, first and foremost, like I just said, I'm from a small town. I'm from a very super religious town. I was homeschooled for a good portion of my late childhood to early teenage years. I attended church. So I do come from a very religious background. Being able to see Jessica really give a context to what that life may be like. This is a very strict and a very spiritual small town. So we start out with Nicole Warby, and she's kind of our main character for the most part of the book. Steve, he is in it quite a bit and does play a role, but I really feel like the main character here is definitely Nicole. The first couple of pages when you're reading this book, you're just automatically thrown into a scene where Nicole and her other church friends who are in a women's group, and they're talking and they're discussing the prophet Deborah. At this point in time, Nicole just really isn't figuring out where her place at is in this community. They moved from the big city, so Nicole's your city girl. She knows anything and everything about the city. She goes to the store, nobody knows her from Sam or Adam, okay? So she is not accustomed to going to the store in Lillian and everybody recognizing her. So you kind of see there where she is having issues fitting in. You kind of see this through the first couple of chapters in the book. They're having this meeting, and this gives Nicole the idea, well, why don't I be like Deborah? Deborah, if you don't know, in the Bible, was a military leader. She was one of the judges, and she had a big role in the Israelites taking over Canaan, I believe. Nicole gets this spark of inspiration from Deborah and decides that her spot in the church, the Lillian Assembly of God, is that she should be on the Elders Council. And the Elders Council is made up of all these older men that are in the church and that are in the community. They are the ones who decide basically everything that's going on within the church. Steve doesn't really like the idea, but he tells Nicole that he will go ahead and talk to the council and see if there's a possibility that Nicole could go ahead and be a part of the council. He, like I said, doesn't really like the idea, but he loves Nicole, and he's willing to help Nicole find whatever that she can find in order for her to feel like she fits in. Continuing throughout the story, I really liked how you just get this really unease and unrest, and it doesn't really get into the more paranormal stuff until a little bit later in the book. At this point, Nicole has already been told that her place as a woman is not on the council, that women should submit to their husbands. They should follow what their husbands tell them to do. So there's a lot of misogyny here. I'm trying not to go too deep into this here because I do want to keep this kind of short, but it's definitely something like no woman wants to be told, oh, you're not fit for a leadership. You know, you're not good enough. And I think any woman who would be told that would feel some type of way. So at this point, I'm really feeling Nicole here, you know, like I'm catching her vibes. I'm right there with her. I'm already kind of rooting for her, like, that's fucked up. Another part of this book that I absolutely love is that it doesn't fully rely on paranormal elements to make you uncomfortable. I wouldn't necessarily say scared, because I myself didn't really feel scared at any point throughout the book, but I did feel uneasy. I did feel uncomfortable. I think that's the reason why I really enjoyed this book. After this point, and this is pretty much all I'm going to touch on as far as the story plot goes, but there's one point in time after everything is said and done that they go home and things are kind of starting to get a little bit creepy. They get back to the house. Nicole starts hearing things from the woods, and she keeps hearing this voice. Nicole goes back to the church. What happens at this point in time is she gets lured into the woods where this reverend is saying there's witches in the woods, and the next thing she knows is that she is following this voice. She blacks out. When she wakes up, it's been 2 or 3 hours that have passed, so still really early in the morning, and she's back next to her car. Everything after that, it just is so strange. At one point in time, she starts feeling sick and nauseous. She's still hearing things, but it's not coming from the woods now. It's coming from within herself. I would venture out to say that more than likely she's along the lines of feeling possessed, but she doesn't want to tell anybody that. She doesn't want to admit that. But the thing that she realizes is that the way that the church is treating women, she doesn't agree with it. And there's some mysterious things going on around the church. So at one point in time, Nicole is back at church with her husband, and her husband realizes, oh my God, that she's not right in the head, like there's something going on. But once again, he's very non-confrontational. He's not really someone to stop Nicole. And at even one point in time says, look, let's just not go to church today. But Nicole is adamant about attending church that day. As soon as the reverend gets up on the stand and says there are witches in the woods, Nicole starts feeling sick to her stomach. And as the sermon continues, she gets even more just violently ill. She starts throwing up mud and grass, all these weird things right there on the church carpet. This book is a wild ride. I will say that for sure. Now, as far as the scare factor with this book, from me personally, I do believe on a scale from 1 being not scary whatsoever to 10 being absolutely terrifying, I'd give it a 5. You know, it does have those kind of creepy elements that I think do amp up the scare factor. It's not really something that's like you're gonna sleep with the lights on type of thing. This is coming from someone who is a avid horror novel reader, been reading in this specific genre for a very long time. I would recommend that people who are either starting out with this genre and never read horror before, I would recommend this book to you. If you are just not the type that you just don't really want to be scared, you just want to be creeped out and uneasy, I definitely would also recommend this book to you as well. As far as cons go with this book, I really didn't find anything that I didn't like. Of course, I always want more from a book. I always want, you know, I just get greedy to the point, like I just want to consume everything and anything I can of this specific world. I did give this a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me throughout this whole entire video. If you do end up picking up Conjuring the Witch by Jessica Leonard, I would love to hear about it. Definitely leave it in the comments. You can also comment on my social media. I'm on Twitter. Of course, I'm on Goodreads. I will link all of the information down below. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you would like to see more content from me, then subscribe. See you later. Bye.